Well, welcome and good morning. My name is Keith Reynolds, and I am your host of Morning Coffee. I am filling in for John Douglas Rainey. He is off in the beautiful sunny islands of wherever he's at. I just keep seeing Facebook pictures. So, to him and his wife Jennifer, hope you're enjoying yourself. We're going to start off Morning Coffee this morning with an extraordinary guest. Gotta tell you, it's the first time I've ever interviewed a person of this stature, so I'm a little shaky. Yes, guys, I'm a little shaky. Today we have Devamrita Swami. He's a traveling monk. Swami, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
So, I don't even know where to begin. You're so interesting. A very interesting person. So, can you tell the listeners a little bit about yourself? How you started off, now to where you got to where you're a Swami.
Well, as a child, I was a very religious child. I took my Christian upbringing very seriously. I still do. And I was also a very serious student. So those two strands really characterized my childhood. Love of religion, love of studying, and also love of sports. I was a New York Yankee fan until the Mets came along. So never did I think that I would become a Swami, or in the Western terminology, a monk. Uh, I studied and I played sports, and even when I was 13 years old, I was giving sermons in the Presbyterian Church.
Wow, wow.
My mother really made sure that I had the finest education, so I studied hard, but I was always thinking, what is the deepest mystery to life and how can it be solved? So I respected all religions. Growing up in New York City, I had many Jewish kids in my class, and I was curious about what they were doing. And I was very serious about my Christianity. And I was wondering about what is the unity of all these religious paths, if any at all.
Very interesting. Very interesting. Now, so you said you had different levels or different schools that you went to, and in different areas. It seemed like that you ended up in New York, but you started off in other places.
I started in New York. I went to Lutheran school for the first three grades, and then I went to public school in New York City. I did a short stint in Philadelphia, 1 year at Philadelphia's Central High School, the all academic specialist school. But then I received a scholarship to a ritzy prep school or boarding school in New Hampshire for 10th, 11th, 12th grade. And from there, I went to Yale University on a full scholarship. And after finishing Yale University, that's when my monks or swamis life began.
Okay, okay. So how did you like? Did you feel like you like you said you didn't start off knowing that you were going to be there, but did was there that aha moment that said I got to do this?
Well, during my years at Yale, my goal was to find a solution to all humanity's problems. So my professors at Yale let me study whatever I wanted. They said this approach is actually what the university is meant for. Plunder it for all it's worth. They told me that they wished they could have done the same thing when they were students, but they didn't have the courage. So they let me go for it, and I'm thankful for that. After 4 years, I realized there's no material solution to humanity's material problems. And therefore, I began to look for the deepest, most comprehensive spiritual answers.
Okay. Hmm. Now I'm assuming you found them, right?
Oh, yes. Oh,
Okay.
yes. And I travel the world recommending such solutions. I was speaking last night at Temple University, the night before at University of Pennsylvania, uh, with great delight.
So I got to ask you this. I mean, do you think that now? again, I'm a man of faith, but when you think of, and I told you prior to this, when I think of monks, maybe because I watch too many movies, but you think that the monks are tucked into some mountains in the Himalayas, and you come across them, I don't know, when you're in serious trouble or out in the woods or something like that. But like, what religion is monks? What is that?
I'm particularly in the Krishna tradition, the global Krishna tradition. Let's talk about yoga now for a second.
Okay.
36 million Americans practice some form of yoga, and according to research, 80 million want to try it for the first time. At the bottom of the yoga ladder, there is the physical posturing and the breathing. But that's just the beginning. The whole point of the physical is to calm your mind down so that you can start thinking clearly what is the ultimate goal of life. So the top rung of the yoga ladder is the love supreme, pure love of God. That's actually the real fruit of the yoga system. And that's what I'm involved with.
Okay. So the real love of God. Okay.
Pure love of God.
Oh, pure love of God. Okay. All right. So you started traveling, around the country or around the world. You know, do you have to go now? Oh God. All right. So I guess I'm looking at how did you have to go travel some isolated place to become a monk and stay there, or?
It's a very good question. You see, there are two types of monks or swamis.
Okay.
Swami is a Sanskrit word that refers to one whose occupation is to be master of the mind and senses.
Okay.
The English equivalent is monk, one who has no biological family, but who's dedicated to giving others the highest service. So there are two types of swamis. One stays in seclusion in the Himalayas, as you said. The other type does the austerities of traveling constantly here and there trying to enlighten persons. So I'm of that latter type.
Okay. Very cool. Very cool. Because now, is there a like during part of the Catholic religion, you have the Pope, and I feel like the monks are at that level to me. But do you have a particular monk that's like the Pope?
We have our founder of our Krishna global organization. He's no longer president in this world. His Divine Grace A.C. Bhakti Swami Prabhupada. He's written about 80 books, and
Wow.
they're circulated in the millions throughout the world.
Okay. Well, listen, Swami, we have to take our first commercial break, and I've got like a million questions in my mind. So we're going to take the quick commercial break, and we're going to be right back more with Swami right after this. Well, welcome back. I'm Keith Reynolds, host of Morning Coffee, and we are having a wonderful conversation with Devamrita Swami. Did I get that right or close to it?
Close to it.
Close to it. Not bad. So,
Devamrita Swami.
Devamrita Swami. Good.
You got it.
Good. There you go. So, Swami, when we ended off on our first part of our show, we were just getting kind of the background of how you got to this point. You touched on yoga a little, which is, I think, everybody is familiar with yoga, but I think that the way you kind of presented it, I don't think people look at it that they looked at it after that, at that point. But let's talk a little bit about pleasure and happiness.
Yes. It may seem that a monk's life is devoid of all the good stuff, but actually, in the particular path that I follow, which is known as Bhakti Yoga, the yoga of the love supreme, pure love and devotion to God, the lower so-called pleasures are easily forgotten because one has tapped into superior pleasure. You see, no matter how hard we try, we can't override our pleasure-seeking impulse. So the question is how to make that connection to the ultimate source of pleasure. That is really what yoga and meditation should be about and is about at the topmost level.
Okay. Now, is there any part now? I guess is healing part of that too?
Well, how deep do you want the healing to penetrate? You can heal the body, you can heal the mind, but the first teaching of genuine yoga is that you are different from your body and mind. You are a particle of spiritual consciousness.
Very interesting. So now, this is kind of strange. Again, forgive me if if I'm not getting the words exactly right, but you know, being a monk, they said that Jesus sacrificed himself for us, right?
Yes.
And now you're saying that monks they forgo certain pleasures um, that I guess that other people, because I asked you about it, where you're allowed to marry and stuff like that. So like it's almost like a sacrifice that you guys are going through to help uh, the happiness for everybody else. Am I right in a sense?
Yes, but actually, there's the highest happiness in trying to give others the highest happiness.
Okay. Okay. So by you preaching happiness, and I don't mean to say preaching, but you spreading the word of happiness and pleasure, you are getting your fill of pleasure.
Well, let's look at the prime yoga text, the most authoritative yoga text,
Okay.
Bhagavad Gita. Uh, there it is stated that someone who is intelligent doesn't focus on the temporary pleasures that come and go, but instead taps into the pleasures of the soul in relationship with the Supreme Soul. This is what Krishna explains in Bhagavad Gita, the prime yoga text.
Man, thank God you're saying those words, Bhagavad Gita.
Yeah, you got it. Perfect.
Listen to that. Look at that. So now, if someone wanted to, so are you saying that basically that yoga is the starting point for
The
being
physical postures are the starting point. They're the lowest rung on the yoga ladder. And
okay?
certainly by doing the physical postures and the breathing, you'll improve your health and your attitude. But that's just the beginning. The whole purpose of the postures and the breathing is actually to make your mind peaceful so that then you can contemplate, you can consider what is the ultimate goal of life and how to achieve it.
Okay. So now, how do you get? I always say chicken or egg. Is it more mental or physical? But how do you get
Lord, have mercy on the chickens, please.
the?
Go on. Go on.
But how do you get? How do you start to? I don't know. How do you get started? How do you say, okay, I'm gonna get into this and I'm going to be happy.
First, one needs knowledge. People actually don't know what is real happiness, therefore, they're attached to the temporary stuff that comes and goes so quickly and so superficially.
Okay. So that you're saying they get caught up with all this stuff that's not really necessary, or not.
Not necessary and not essential for their core being. If you're non material, if you're the soul, how can material pleasure satisfy you? That's the real issue.
Okay. Wow. Very deep. Very deep. So, I'm a person that I say, okay, I'm ready to go, um, and I start cleansing myself and doing yoga. Okay. Now, almost like it's kind of funny. Like we're at what? It's April. So everybody that started in January with their crash diet or their diets, they're ending up and getting out of it now. So
Yeah.
how do you maintain that? You get into this and you start this. I guess it's changing habits and
Lifestyle engineering.
lifestyle engineering. I like that. You know what? I'm going to have to steal that from you. Lifestyle engineering. So,
Yeah.
what's some other things besides the yoga aspect that you can do to help with this?
Great question. sonic therapy or mantra meditation. A mantra, although such a popular word these days for anything from politics to sports teams, mantra actually means, it's a Sanskrit term. Mantra means the sound that can deliver your mind from illusion. So mantra meditation plays an enormous part in Bhakti Yoga, the yoga of the love supreme. The sound that can purify our consciousness is so essential, just like sounds that fill your mind with illusion have become so essential these days. So therefore, you can classify yourself according to the kind of sound vibration that's saturating you. Bhakti Yoga, also known as Krishna consciousness, changes the sound vibration, and therefore your consciousness changes.
Okay. Now, when people, I don't know, I guess like, again, I think that some people go to the extremes. And what I mean by that is basically like, people may find God, right? And then all of a sudden, like, they stop being around their friends and all this other stuff. Do you really have to go to those extremes to get pleasure and peace in life?
The whole world is my friend.
Okay.
I have friends on every continent of this world.
Okay, so, because I do, people get lost in that and they feel that they have to separate everything. And I guess I'm assuming that basically if you are at peace with yourself, it doesn't really matter all the other stuff because you're kind of blocking it out, correct?
Not blocking it out, but making a higher connection. Blocking it out won't do you much good because you can't repress your urge for pleasure. You've got to tap into a higher pleasure, so much so that you've got no time for focusing on the lower stuff.
Okay. Wow. You're saying some interesting stuff, Swami. I'm getting some of this stuff.
That's what they pay me for. They don't pay me.
That is some good stuff. So, now tell me, now you've traveled all over the world.
Yes.
So
every continent except Antarctica.
Antarctica, which that's cold, so that's a good thing. But can you tell me the difference between the countries, like, is the United States, is it accepting of being a Swami, or do you find other countries are less accepting, more accepting? How is the world set up?
Well, obviously, India is the most receptive. That's the home playing field.
Right.
But just because the sun rises in the east doesn't mean the sun belongs to the east. Similarly, just because the yoga knowledge and practice seems to come from India doesn't mean it's exclusively Indian. It's actually meant for the whole world, just like sunshine is meant for the whole world. So yes, United States is so receptive now to yoga, vegetarianism, meditation, mindfulness, and amongst that pack, the Krishna tradition, also known as Hare Krishna, is widely known ever since 50 years ago when it first appeared in the USA.
Absolutely. They just peeked in and told me I had to take another commercial break. We're going to take a quick commercial break and we're going to be right back after this. All right, I'm Keith Reynolds, host of Morning Coffee. We're here with our first guest, Devamrita Swami. It was close again.
Perfect.
It was close, Swami, don't you think?
Perfect. Yeah.
I'll tell you what, you are, it wasn't I won't say it wasn't a bad day, it wasn't a good day, but you have brightened my day up. Thank you. Getting the opportunity to talk to you. For your listeners just tuning in, Swami is a traveling monk who travels the world, and we were talking a little bit about what it's like to be a monk. Talking a little bit about yoga, different parts of the yoga and stuff. I won't even try to pronounce the names, but during the break I asked him a question, and I think everybody out there probably was thinking the same thing I'm thinking. When we see monks, we usually see them wrapped in like orange type of material, and he says, and you said you do wear that stuff, right? Correct?
Definitely. Yes.
Okay, but I told him that he's like the new 2017 monk. He is a little bit more of a modern look with him. He has his orange like zip up sweater. I don't know if you guys can see that, but I told him he's very stylish for a monk. Very stylish. But you said that orange means something. So can you tell our audience?
Yes. In India, orange, or more precisely, saffron, is the color that those who have chosen to forgo having their own biological family for the sake of making the whole world their family, that's the color they wear, to let everyone know that.
Okay, very cool, very cool. Now, Swami, we only have a few minutes left, but can you tell listeners and viewers where they could find you?
Yes, they can find me online at devamritaswami.com.
Okay, and they can find out where you're going to be, and they can
Oh,
come.
yes, they can connect with me. They can contact me and we can chat. Yes.
Okay, so now when you go out and do appearances, though, you're not. Are you in a church, or are you in like a or like a place where like events are being held, stuff like that?
I mainly do universities. I
Okay,
did Temple University last night, the night before, University of Pennsylvania.
okay.
I'll speak at Drexel next week. I'll speak at Philadelphia University next week.
You'll be at
I'm speaking.
you'll be at Drexel next week.
That's right.
I'm going to check. You know what? You might see me there. I want to meet you.
Okay.
I'm telling you, you're interesting. I love to meet you in person. Okay, so for you listeners out there that are interested in reaching out to Swami and connecting with him, please go to that website that he provided us. And Swami, thank you so much for coming on. We'd love to have you come back anytime that you'd love to, want to come in and talk to us. That would be awesome.
All right, thank you. It's been a pleasure.
All right. So we're going to be right back with CEO chat. The guys are out in the room. I could hear them with their guests, and we will be right back.